Assalamu alaikum. I welcome you all for class 10 subject science. So today we are going to continue with our topic, that is life process. So now we are going to learn about the heterotropic nutrition here. Now as I said you, heterotrophs, the form of nutrition differ depending on type and availability of food material as well as how it is obtained by the organism. Okay, they are classified into heterotrophs and autotrophs. So that is, heterotrophs are what? They depend on others for their food. Now here we will take an example of the single cell amoeba, how it will take the food. Okay, in single cell organism, the food may be taken in by the entire surface, but as the complexity of the organism increases, different parts become specialized to perform different functions. Amoeba takes in food using temporary finger-like extension of the cell surface which fuses over the food particle, forming a food vacuole. Inside the food vacuole, complex substances are broken down into simpler ones, which then diffuses into cytoplasm. The remaining undigested material is moved to the surface of the cell and thrown out in the paramecium, which is also a unicellular organism. The cell has a definite shape and food is taken in at a specific spot. Food is moved to this spot by the movement of cilia, which cover the entire surface of the cell. Here you can see this is the nucleus of the what? Here you can see here the food. What here the food is present and the amoeba is here. This is the pseudopodia, the false foot of the amoeba. It moves towards the food. You can see in the second picture how it is taking all the food in its pseudopodia, the false finger. Then what happens? It slowly closes its pseudopodia here and the food goes inside the amoeba body, and then it will digest and it will throw the remaining part the same way. Now, nutrition in animals, nutrition in human beings, especially the human beings we are going to talk now here. This is nothing but the alimentary canal, which you can see here. The alimentary canal is basically a long tube extending from the mouth to the anus. We can see that the tube has different parts, various region. You can see here it has different parts in the various region here. From here till the end it is known as the alimentary canal. In this there are different structures and it performs different functions here. Specialized to perform different functions. The various regions are specialized to perform different functions. What happens to the food once it enters our body? So what is happening in our body we'll see now. We eat various types of food which has to pass through the same digestive tract. Naturally, the food has to be processed to generate particles which are small and of same texture. This is achieved by crushing the food with our teeth. Since the lining of the canal is soft, the food is also wetted to make its passage smooth. When we eat something, we like our mouth waters. Now here the first step, that is the ingestion. Ingestion means taking in of the food through from where we eat, that is the mouth, right? So first we take in mouth. That what happens in the mouth? All the food what we take, it will be crushed through our teeth. There are different kinds of teeth. That is the 4 types of teeth which is present in our body. That is incisors, canines, molars and premolars. That will crush the food particles into smaller pieces. And the next thing what is present in our body, in our mouth, is the saliva. Okay, saliva is an enzyme which is present in our mouth which helps to soften the food there. Okay, the food is softened there only. This is actually not only water. Now what we can say, our mouth waters in the sense that is nothing but a fluid called saliva. Okay, saliva secreted by the salivary glands in the mouth. That water is nothing but the saliva secreted by the salivary glands. Another aspect of the food we ingest is in its complex nature. If it is to be observed from the alimentary canal, it has to be broken into the smaller molecule. This is done with the help of the biological catalyst called enzyme. Okay. Now, after chewing the food, here the enzyme saliva is an enzyme which mixes with the food. Okay, the saliva contains an enzyme called salivary amylase. What it is? It contains, the saliva contain salivary amylase that breaks down starch is a complex molecule to give simple sugar. The food is mixed thoroughly with saliva and move around the mouth while chewing by the muscular tongue. So what happens here? The food is crushed and the salivary amylase is mixed in the mouth, and then it will be passing down. It is necessary to move the food in a regulated manner along the digestive tube so that it can be processed properly in each part. The lining of canal has muscles that contract and rhythmically in order to push the food forward. This peristaltic movement occurs all along the gut, means how the food moves. It is not from the upward or downward moving, but it is through the contraction and relaxation. What happens? The muscles here in the alimentary canal, all over from the mouth till the anus, it has the muscles which is rhythmically contracting. For example, it contracts and it relaxes, moving the food forward. Okay, from here the food has to be moved. It is in the rhythmical contraction. This process of rhythmical contraction is known as peristaltic movement. Okay, what it is known as? Peristaltic movement. From the mouth, the food is taken into the stomach through the food pipe. From the mouth, where the food is going now, to the food pipe or the esophagus. Okay, this is nothing but the food pipe, or it is also known as esophagus. The stomach is a large organ which expands when food enters. Here you can see this part is the stomach that expands. When the food enters, it expands. The muscular walls of the stomach helps in mixing the food thoroughly with more digestive juices. Here there are different digestive juices. Again it will be present. The food mixes with it. The digestion in stomach is taken care by the gastric glands present in the wall of the stomach. Here what is present? The gastric glands are present. These releases hydrochloric acid. Which acid is released in the stomach? The hydrochloric acid is released in the stomach and creates an acidic medium which facilitates the action of enzyme pepsin. Okay, action of pepsin, the other enzyme is there. So which is mixing in the food. What other function do you think it up by the acid? Means what the other thing, what happens if you don't eat much food? Means on time, if you are not eating food, you have heard that you get acid. Means gastric problem you have heard. Why this gastric problem comes? Means because of this hydrochloric acid which is present in our stomach. If we don't intake the food in a proper time, the acid will be released in our stomach, that comes out through the gastric problem. Okay, that is nothing but the gastric problem once the HCl, that is hydrochloric acid, is liberated in time if you are not taking the food properly. The mucus protects the inner lining of the stomach from the action of the acid under normal condition. You can ask me, ma'am, this acid is not harmful. Yes, it is harmful when it is outside, but inside our stomach there is a lining called mucus inner lining which prevents the stomach, okay, action of acid under normal condition. The mucus is a lining in the stomach which protects the stomach with the help, that is against HCl. Then from this from the stomach, the food goes into the small intestine. Here you can see this part is known as the small intestine. The exit of food from the stomach is regulated by the sphincter muscle, which releases it in small amount. it in small amount into the small intestine. From the stomach, the food now enters the small intestine. This is the longest part of the alimentary canal, which is fitted into a contact space because of extensive coiling. This is the longest part of the alimentary canal, okay, the small intestine. But you can see it is coiled and fixed in a small space. The length of the small intestine differs in various animals depending on the food they eat. Herbivores eating grass need a longer small intestine to allow the cellulose to be digested. Means in the herbivores, this small intestine should be longer than what we have. Okay. Meat is easier to digest. Hence, carnivores like tigers have a shorter small intestine. Even the carnivores don't want the longer intestine because it can be easily digested. But the herbivores need the longer intestine because they have to digest there properly. The small intestine is the site of the complete digestion of carbohydrates, proteins and fats. Here actually the absorption of all the proteins, fats is going on here, where the complete digestion will take place in the small intestine. Okay, it receives the secretion of the liver and the pancreas for these purposes. The food coming from the stomach is acidic and has to be made alkaline from the pancreatic enzyme to act. So as I said you, the food will become acidic mixing with HCl and it moves, the acidic food comes to the small intestine here. What happens here is the bile juice and the pancreatic juice which comes from the pancreas and the liver will come and mixes here in the small intestine. Bile juice from the liver accomplish this in addition to acting on fats. Fats are present in the intestine in the form of large globules. So here what happens? It will mixes in the small intestine.